So let me ask you something. Is your retirement plan actually set up for your success, or is it kind of rigged to make Wall Street rich at your expense? We're got to dive into some thinking that makes a really strong case for that second option.
Eating cat food when you're 75. Wow, I mean, that's a pretty intense way to put it, right? But it's meant to be. The whole point here is that the stakes for your retirement are incredibly high, and a lot of the common advice you've been given might just be flat out wrong.
And that really gets us to the core question we're tackling today. Is the plan you've been so carefully putting money into actually a trap? Okay, let's get into it.
Here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at the industry's playbook. Then we're going to expose 3 overpriced solutions and 2 really common strategy mistakes. And don't worry, we'll wrap it all up with a simple action plan so you know exactly what to do.
All right, first up, the game. Here's the central argument. The retirement system isn't really designed to help you retire comfortably. It's designed to generate fees. And these little fees, they are the silent killer of your portfolio's growth.
Think about it. A 2% fee. It doesn't sound like much, does it? But over a lifetime of investing, it can literally cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. We're talking over 200 grand on a $500,000 portfolio. That is not a rounding error. That's the difference between a comfortable retirement and, having to work well into your 70s.
So where are these fees hiding? How do they actually show up in the real world? Let's pull back the curtain on 3 very common retirement solutions that are often just, wealth extraction machines.
First on the list, target date funds. Oh, you've definitely seen these in your 401k options. The pitch is just so simple. Pick the year you want to retire, and the fund does everything else for you, getting safer as you get older. I mean, it sounds perfect, right? Set it and forget it.
But, and this is a big but, here's the catch. You're usually paying multiple layers of fees. There's a fee for the target date fund itself, and then you pay more fees for all the little funds it holds inside of it. So you're basically paying extra for a generic, one-size-fits-all strategy that probably doesn't fit you perfectly and often gets way too conservative way too early.
Okay, next up, variable annuities. These things are often sold as the absolute holy grail of retirement. You get tax-deferred growth, guaranteed income, but the reality is just a stack of fees, one piled on top of another. When you add it all up, you're often looking at 3, maybe even 4% every single year. That is a massive drag on your money. And believe it or not, it gets worse. What if you need your money in an emergency? Well, too bad. You're going to face huge surrender charges for years. And then, when you finally do take the money out, your gains aren't taxed at the lower capital gains rate. Nope, they're taxed as ordinary income, which could be almost double the rate. So you're paying massive fees for a worse tax outcome. It's wild.
And the third big trap? Actively managed funds. These are the funds where you pay a supposedly brilliant manager a high fee to pick stocks and beat the market. The problem? They almost never do. Seriously, look at this. Nearly 9 out of 10 of them fail to beat a simple, super low-cost index fund over the long run. You are paying 10, 20, even 50 times more in fees for underperformance. Let that sink in.
All right, we've talked about the products. Now let's switch gears and talk about 2 common strategies that sound really smart and sophisticated, but can actually backfire big time. You've probably heard this pitch from an advisor. You should convert your traditional IRA to a Roth IRA. The logic seems to make sense, right? Pay the taxes now while you're working, and then all your growth and your withdrawals are tax-free forever. It feels like you're making a really savvy move. But here's the fundamental flaw. Most people's income, and therefore their tax rate, actually drops in retirement. So with a Roth conversion, you could be prepaying taxes at your peak 32% rate just to avoid what might have been a 12% rate later on. It's kind of like paying full price for a plane ticket today just to avoid a potential sale fare down the road. For most people, the math just doesn't work. Now, trap number 5. This is one of the biggest financial decisions you'll ever make: when to take Social Security. So many people just grab it as early as they can at age 62. But just look at the difference in your lifetime benefit. It is staggering. By waiting until age 70, you lock in a much larger inflation-adjusted income stream for the rest of your life. Delaying is honestly one of the best and safest returns on your money you can possibly get. Okay, so we've gone through all the traps, and I know it can feel a little overwhelming. But the good news is the solution is actually surprisingly simple. So let's pivot to the actionable steps you can take right now to protect your future. Here is the 5-step plan. Number 1, Simplify. A couple of low-cost index funds is really all you need. 2. Avoid complexity. If any product has high fees or surrender charges, just run. 3. Maximize Social Security. Wait as long as you possibly can. 4. Favor tax-deferred accounts. Don't prepay taxes you might not even owe later. And 5, and this is so important, get a second opinion from a fee-only fiduciary. That means they are legally required to act in your best interest, not just sell you a high-commission product.
Ultimately, it really all comes down to this. The financial system might not be on your side. Your employer has other things to worry about. The single most important takeaway here is that you are your own best advocate. You have to be the one to protect your retirement.
So we're going to end where we began, with a question for you. All these small decisions you make today, checking your fees, questioning advice, simplifying your whole plan, they are going to compound for decades. So what actions are you going to take now that your 75-year-old self will thank you for?